Hi, I'm Naomi Nachman, the Aussie Gourmet and Cookbook author of Perfect for Pesach. I'm standing in Cedarhurst, New York in Gourmet Glatt, and I'm talking to Rabbi Elefant, and we're here to talk about the explosion of the kosher food industry, especially for Pesach. It's growing and growing and growing, and we're going to have a little question and answer session. We want to hear from Rabbi Elefant.
Absolutely. I just did a study yesterday, and the OU itself this year certified 1,500 more products for Pesach than we did last year.
So every year it's growing by 1,500? That's
I don't know if every
amazing.
year is 1,500, but this year was a great year.
Fabulous.
And we get, as you probably know, maybe you have your own experience, literally hundreds and hundreds of questions all year round about kashrus issues. And before Pesach, it's incredible.
It explodes.
Right. So we decided that before the questions come to us, we'll bring the questions to our listeners and our consumers. And we're going to let you ask the questions, and maybe I can give the answers, and maybe help educate people all about Pesach and all about food for Pesach and what they should be thinking about and what they should be looking for.
Okay, I love the preparation, the pre-preparation Pesach talk that we're going to have today. You know, let's talk a little bit about gluten-free, because that's definitely a big buzzword in the food industry altogether, in the kosher world and non-kosher world. So, you know, let's talk about with Pesach, all the different products that we have.
So that's a great question. And as you see, we have a number of items on this table. There are many more, obviously, that are gluten-free. So we have lasagna, and then we have, I think, crackers.
I know, how crazy is that we have a cracker?
We have cracker, and we have even something that looks like a matzah that's gluten-free. So this is an incredible new product. Now, this is what I find most incredible about Pesach and kosher in general, because many of the latest food trends hook into kosher for Pesach perfectly. So there are many people that are worried about gluten-free. They're celiacs, or for whatever reason, they're trying to be on a gluten-free diet.
Right.
So how do they know that a food is gluten-free?
Right.
Well, if it's kosher for Pesach, and it's not matzah, or anything that has a matzah male ingredient, by definition, it's gluten-free.
Like our lasagna noodles,
Correct.
right? So right
if
off the bat, we know that.
So if you're looking for a gluten-free product, then just look for an OUP, and you'll have a gluten-free product. So what that creates is incredible. First of all, we have more Pesach product, and we also have more product for people who don't keep Pesach. They're not even Jewish, but they're gluten-free.
So they can use our hook into our perfect
OUP
products all year round.
All year round, as long as it's not matzah or something that has a matzah male ingredient.
Right.
Because the only food that we certify for kosher for Passover that is not gluten-free is obviously matzah.
Correct.
Or matzah-based product. I do have to make an important caveat. So you just showed the matzahs that are gluten-free.
Right.
The matzahs that are gluten-free are gluten-free. You shouldn't make a bari mina Mayonnaise because there's no flour in it.
Right.
You make a shahako, and also that's not what you should use for the seder, because for the seder you got to use the real thing, and gluten-free matzahs are not the real thing.
Okay, so we have to always keep that in mind. Okay, thank you for sharing that with us. I know that's a question that everybody will be asking.
Everybody's asking, and it's really incredible. You know, I'm not telling anybody what to eat, but that you can have lasagna kosher for Pesach.
Right.
That's not what our grandmothers thought about.
It's amazing. That's not what we thought about 10 years ago,
Right.
or even
It's certainly
2
what
years ago.
It's not what the Jews thought about when they left Egypt.
No way. They were lucky if they had lasagna. Okay, great. So, you know, we're moving down our table. We have so many great items, like even baby food.
Correct.
When my kids were little, if you wanted baby food, like you
Made
it yourself.
Right.
And now we have like Gerber, an OU product. Everybody knows that OU has been around for, I want to say 120 years, about?
Well, not me, the
Not
OU.
you, the OU.
Okay.
You're looking fabulous,
Yeah,
Rabbi.
Okay, thanks.
So, you know, to know that, you know, the OU is quality, and when you're feeding your family, you're getting good quality certification and good quality product.
Right, you're 100% right, and it's incredible when studies are done about kosher. Many of our customers tell us that they have discovered that a large population of their consumers are not even Jewish,
Right.
certainly not people who care about kosher, but they're very impressed with what the OU represents. It's a communal organization that has hundreds of rabbis around the country and around the world visiting plants on an unannounced basis, and that notion that the food that you're eating has been supervised by an independent, reliable, trustworthy group and organization and individuals makes the people feel much better about what they're eating.
How many countries do you have plants in?
We have plants in over 100 countries.
Wow.
And that's only because there are many countries that it's not safe for a Jew to travel.
Okay.
So, you know, in a lot of places where a guy that looks like me would come,
Right.
I don't know if I'd come back.
You can send me undercover, Rabbi.
Okay.
I'll be the mashkiach.
Okay, I'm not ready to take a chance for you either.
Thank you. He has my back.
Okay.
Let's talk about, we have kosher salt, which bears the OUP all year. Many products that we're saying,
Right.
besides the gluten-free products, are kosher for Passover all year. So we have our kosher salt, which is definitely used
Right,
in
but-
every single baking item or cooking item every day.
Absolutely, but this isn't a very important item because, as you do point out, salt is kosher all the time. But many people use salt. I know my wife all year round always looks for salt with iodine because it's an important nutrient. That could be a problem for Passover. So you could buy salt for Passover, for Pesach, without special supervision. But you have to make sure, as this says, this salt does not supply iodide, a necessary nutrient. If it's iodized salt, then you couldn't use it for Pesach because it would be a problem.
So
That's
all the different brands, we have the Geffen brand here,
have Diamond Crystal.
Diamond Crystal.
And-
I'm not
Right.
sure about this one.
Lior.
This is Red Sea salt, but with table salt, this is something to be conscious of. I did
Very.
not know that.
Okay.
So we're all learning something here today. Okay, so now we have also the frozen fruit,
So
which
frozen-
we're all moving into like healthy eating,
So-
especially on Passover.
So as you know, everybody's eating fruits and vegetables, which is what they should be doing, I guess, right?
Yes, Rabbi, we should.
Okay, that was supposed to be your line. But there's a real issue when we talk about fruits and vegetables.
Right.
Because kosher law is extremely sensitive to infestation.
Of bugs, infestation of bugs.
Right, so
besides the dirt, we don't want to eat the bugs.
Right, the thrips and the aphids. So besides whatever health issue there is, there's a very serious prohibition about eating thrips and aphids. Now there's some fruits and vegetables that are no big deal. An apple, an orange, a pear.
You just wash it.
You just wash it. But then, those aren't the vegetables that anybody wants to really eat all the time. So when you get to something like spinach, or you get something like strawberries,
Right.
these are highly infested. So now,
Infested with tiny little bugs. Let's explain to our audience what those two bugs that you were just
the
talking
most
about.
common bugs that are found are called thrips and aphids.
Okay, I only knew about aphids, so I'm now learning something
Okay.
new right now.
So they're very small, they're very hard to identify, and you're not allowed to eat them.
Right, they are not kosher.
Right. So now, how do we get you to be able to have a strawberry that is good and healthy, but on the other hand doesn't have any thrips or aphids? So we have companies like this company, Bodek, that spend a lot of effort and resources in washing all the products that we certify and then checking them to make sure that they're perfectly clean.
So it's quite a big process. How long does the process get from the strawberry fields to Gourmet Glatt?
Oh, it could take quite a while because first of all, we're checking the fields because any field that has a propensity for infestation, it doesn't pay to begin with. Then you get a field which the rabbis, we have experts that know how to check for this, and they make sure that this field is pretty clean, or very clean rather. After they do that, then they start checking that indeed the product that they're going to be selling to you and me is really kosher, is really clean, and then they package it under proper supervision to make sure that that's the product that makes its way to the bag. You know, this issue, infestation, is always spoken about before Pesach, because what is one of the most important foods we eat at the Seder? Maror,
Maror, right?
right? And the Gemara says...
The horseradish.
Forget about the horseradish. What does the Talmud say is the best vegetable you should use for maror? You know?
No.
Romaine lettuce.
Romaine lettuce, of course. Not that big horseradish that
No,
everyone
no.
thinks that you should be eating.
The best food to eat is the romaine lettuce. But as you probably know, and anybody knows, romaine lettuce is very delicious and very healthy.
But buggy and dirty.
Very infested, and not just very infested, very difficult to identify the infestation because the insects are the same color as the lettuce.
Very difficult.
Right. So because of that, we have a number of companies, quite a number already, that have special greenhouses where they grow lettuce that will protect them from being infested, that are checked to make sure that the batches that are being sold are kosher. So now you could have your romaine lettuce for maror, and you don't have to worry that you're eating infested romaine lettuce. Instead of, when I grew up, if you wanted to have romaine lettuce for the Seder, you had to spend time on Erev Pesach all afternoon checking your lettuce to make sure that it was clean.
So it's so great that we can rely on the OU to give us clean, healthy, kosher lettuce ready for the Seder.
Absolutely, and you can even eat it not during the Seder.
Right. We love doing salads.
Okay, good.
Okay, so moving right along, so we have all our different, we're talking before about our gluten-free matzahs. So
which is not matzah.
Which is not matzah, and we're not using this at the Seder.
Please.
We can use this for breakfast.
Absolutely.
And so we'll talk about our cereals that we can eat for breakfast. Okay. This is a topic that came up 2 years ago when we met before. Quinoa. We all want to know about quinoa. After 2,000 years, we are so excited to have the OU be able to certify for us quinoa.
Why is quinoa so important? Why is quinoa so important for Pesach? Do you know?
No. I want you to share with us.
So this has nothing to do with kosher, what I'm going to tell you now.
Okay, I'm excited to hear this.
What could no Jew survive without for 9 days or 8.5 days?
Kosher pizza.
Wrong.
Right.
What goes before pizza?
Sushi.
Correct. How could you live without sushi?
I don't know.
But
how did we manage 15 years ago?
Now, we have a very big problem. You can't use, if you're Ashkenazic, you can't use rice on Pesach. So how are you going to have sushi on Pesach?
Cauliflower rice, as well as quinoa.
That's the answer.
We have two choices. Quinoa has been amazing. It has been a game changer as a personal chef and as a cookbook author to be able to put quinoa in recipes, be able to stuff chicken with it, to be able to put it inside of sushi. There are hotels now across America that for
Absolutely.
Pesach that
Absolutely.
there are hundreds probably thousands across the world that are serving sushi on Pesach because we have quinoa.
I want to tell you something. If I got $1 for every person that asked us about quinoa on Pesach, I wouldn't be here. I'd be retired. But
it's wonderful. It's really wonderful.
So this was incredible. This is an incredible issue. Why was this an incredible issue? Because as you said, 15 years ago, nobody knew anything about quinoa. Even people like you who know about food. So now quinoa becomes so popular, it's exploding. And we get a question, is quinoa kosher for Pesach? Now, there was no way to look because there was no quinoa. You can't look in the...
There's no Masorah.
There's no Masorah on quinoa. And we sat on this question for years, because we're very conservative.
Right.
Not conservative, you know what I mean. So we're very conservative. Until we make a decision, we want to be 100% sure that we're making the right decision. So after a lot of deliberation with our senior rabbis, we finally decided that quinoa could be kosher for Pesach. Not finished. Where does quinoa grow? It doesn't grow in Long Island.
No?
No. It grows in Peru.
I would like to have gone on that trip.
Well, we have a rabbi that went there, a very, very nice, qualified individual who even speaks the language. And he went up to the mountains of Peru.
To the Andes Mountains.
Correct. To check the quinoa. What was he looking for? He was looking to see if quinoa grows near wheat, near grain. Because if it grows near grain, even if it's kosher for Passover, you're going to have to be concerned that there's some grain mixed into the quinoa. Baruch Hashem, it doesn't. Not yet. We didn't finish the story. But now, the next step is to go to the packing house where they pack the quinoa into these bags. And we had to make sure that the packing house the lines on which they're packing the quinoa is completely clean of any other substance, even airborne substance, that we could pack the quinoa into the bag and make sure that you, the chef, the cook, the consumer, has only quinoa in the bag, which we decided to be used on Pesach.
And you have now a few different companies that are making it.
Now, you know how it goes.
Yeah.
Once it comes out, it's popular.
Yes, it's great. All right, let's moving along. Okay, vodka.
Yeah, how can you live without vodka, right?
That's right.
You look like you drink it all the time. So this is an interesting new food group, alcoholic beverages. So, you know, everybody knew that you can't have Pesach without wine. How can you have Pesach without wine? 4 cups of wine. And I don't know if they sell wine in the store, but if you look at our directory, I don't know if we have one here, but if you look at the OU Pesach directory, there are, oh, here it is. There are hundreds, I'm not exaggerating, of different wines that are certified for Pesach. Just
There
look.
are probably like thousands of them.
Look, just one page after another page of all these different wines. It just doesn't stop. And there are wines coming that are kosher for Pesach, literally from the entire world. The United States and Israel are obvious. Argentina, Chile, New Zealand, France.
Australia.
Absolutely. Italy. You name it, South Africa. You name it, that's where kosher wine is coming now from. They just need to have grapes. And we need to get rabbis there. But now the market has gone to the next level. And we're not only certifying all these wines, but we're also certifying other alcoholic beverages. So we certify Slivovitz. Everybody remembers Slivovitz. Your father drank Slivovitz.
I'm sure he did.
Or your grandfather. That we certify that comes out of Czechoslovakia. And we're certifying tequila this year. And now we're also certifying vodka. And this is a very serious group of drinks when it comes to Pesach supervision. Because obviously the main ingredient in any alcoholic beverage is alcohol.
Right.
And alcohol could easily come from a grain, from wheat, from rye. So you need to make sure that the source of the grain, the source of the alcohol, is a alcohol that's kosher for Pesach. A sugar or a fruit. That's why tequila is so easy to certify, because tequila by definition comes from the agave fruit.
Right.
Or Slivovitz that I mentioned a moment ago comes from plums. So those are kosher for Pesach.
Right.
You can't have a kosher for Pesach scotch, because scotch comes by definition from a grain.
From wheat, yeah.
So this has become a real new category for Pesach. We're getting a lot of questions, and we hope to see this category grow. It's interesting, one of the most, I don't really drink, but you hear what's going on. So Stolichnaya is a very, very popular vodka.
Yeah.
But
known across the world.
Right. It comes from Russia. And Stolichnaya vodka is OU certified. And this year they wanted an OU certification for Pesach even, which we granted, but the Stolichnaya vodka is kitniot. So it's legume based.
Okay.
So if you're Ashkenazic and you don't eat kitnios on Pesach, that vodka is not for you. But we did certify it because we have Sephardic brothers and sisters, I don't know, sisters, brothers, that they should be able to have that vodka.
Very nice. Okay, Coca-Cola.
Wow.
When I was a child in Australia, growing up, to get a can of Coca-Cola on Pesach, you had to know someone who was going to America or Israel and bring it in.
Well, there are no cans in America either.
How come we can't get cans in America?
You have to ask Coca-Cola. They have to want to make it.
So there are no, can we get them from Israel and bring them in?
I don't know if there are cans in Israel either. I'm not sure.
Yeah, there are. There are 100%.
Okay, so if they are, so you can get it. If you want to bring cans of Coke, and be sure that they don't explode.
Because they have different, in your suitcase.
What happens if
they
they
have
explode in your
different
suitcase?
certifications.
Then you won't have Coca-Cola, but you'll have Coca-Cola clothing.
But Diet Coke is so exciting to have for Pesach, which
Absolutely.
I think is, being a Pesach chef, and I've been very heavily involved in the Pesach food industry for the last 14 years, Diet Coke is very new.
Diet Coke is relatively new.
It has not been around for that long.
And it's actually only available in the United States, not available in Israel.
You cannot get Diet Coke in Israel for Pesach?
No, unless you're looking for an OU product in Israel. You can't get the Israeli Diet Coke. There's only American Diet Coke. And this is a very, very popular product. And what's most incredible is how a company like Coca-Cola is so invested in our community, in the Jewish community, that they make a special run of Coke and Diet Coke for Pesach.
In Atlanta. Where their main
I
factory
can't
is?
even tell you where they make it.
It's a secret location. Shh.
So I can't tell you where it's made, but it's made with a rabbi there that I
Okay.
can tell you. And how do you know that it's kosher for Pesach? So it has the unique yellow cap
Yes,
with
we
the
are all
Kosher
familiar.
Pesach OUP on it. That's what you got to look for. And if you find it, now you got Kosher Pesach Coke and
It's
Diet Coke,
great.
because that's almost as important as the wine for the dollar Kosher.
Right, it's so true. It is so true. Coffee, we can't live without our coffees.
Right, so coffee is a great issue to talk about.
And I know that decaf coffee really needs a Pesach Hechsher because the process, tell me if I'm right, I did some research.
Good for
You're
you.
going to guide me. If it's kosher Pesach coffee, decaf coffee's got to be certified because the process in which they decaffeinate the coffee is got chametz in it.
Close.
Close. Okay, I'm close. Okay.
I still can have my job.
Okay.
So decaffeination is the extraction of the caffeine from the coffee.
Correct.
So you need something to be used to do the extraction. Some companies use alcohol to do the extraction. And as we discussed a moment ago, alcohol could be real chametz. So the only way to know that the decaffeinated coffee you have for Pesach is kosher Pesach is if it has a good supervision, that it's supervised, that the decaffeination was done in a manner that's acceptable for Pesach.
Terrific. It's so great. And the quality of coffees have grown like you a couple years
Well,
ago.
this is a major brand. This is Folgers.
And Nescafe,
And
a couple
Taster's
years ago.
Choice. This is the real thing.
We love this at home, so
Good.
we're very excited that this is now available. Definitely the instant coffees have come a long way. We've got milks, we've got matzahs, we've got dairy.
So,
Some of these, Breakstone has been around a long time.
right, Brexton's been around forever. And
Over
they've been-
100 years.
Okay, together with the OU. And it's interesting, you take a major national brand, Breakstone, and look, in Hebrew letters, they have kosher Pesach.
Aren't we so proud? I'm
I
so
think-
proud to be in the kosher industry,
I
to be
think
an
it's a
Orthodox
recognition
Jew.
of where we are in the world.
It's
and I
great.
think it's a recognition of our community, and I'll tell you why I think so. Because it shows that the people of our community care. Because if they didn't care, then the companies wouldn't
Right.
care. We're sending a great message. The message to the companies that are making food is there's a large segment of people out there that care about kosher, and if you'll make product for them that's kosher, they're going to buy it.
Right.
So when we talk about dairy, you know, there's all sorts of additives to the milk, the vitamins have to be kosher Pesach. So as we were setting up the table before, there was a woman who walked by here and says, wow, there's even kosher Pesach organic milk. Isn't that incredible? And
Another big buzzword in food,
organic,
right, is
absolutely,
organic.
absolutely.
The fact that we can have kosher
And,
Pesach
and look
organic
what
milk.
this company's doing. They're not making new cartons because that's very expensive and very hard. So what are they doing? They're putting the OUP on the inkjet with a sort of
Fantastic.
telling you the date.
So
you
right
can
across
look-
the top there,
You got the OUP.
we love that. And the cheeses from Israel.
And there's cheeses from Israel. Quinoa is a great company. We, in general, love to support Israeli products, the Quinoa products, the Strauss products, the Elite products, the Olsen products. These are companies that are owned by our people in Israel and are so invested in making so many delicious kosher Pesach products. It was incredible. A friend of mine called me last night, and he says he and his family are going to Israel for Pesach, and somebody, he was probably playing a trick on him, and Shul told him, oh, you better bring along food from America, because you're not going to have what to buy or eat in Israel. I said, if that's your problem, that's not your problem.
Right.
You will have half of what we're eating here in the United States on Pesach is coming from Israel. So don't take anything along. You'll have what to eat.
Right, there's so much kosher food across the world,
Incredible.
certified by the OU from
Absolutely.
Sydney, Australia, where I'm originally from.
Where I was
New York.
last year for 2 days.
The
Tough
best.
trip.
How beautiful is Sydney?
Gorgeous.
Gorgeous. You know, from Sydney to Yerushalayim and everywhere in between.
Absolutely.
OU is there to give us great products for
Right.
over 100
and
years.
and that's our whole mission. The mission of the OU, it's a communal organization. We don't own the OU. I don't own the OU, unfortunately.
it's a community.
It's a community with our message, and our mission is to bring kosher food to everybody who wants to eat kosher around the entire world. And the fact that so many people are into kosher and are following the halachas and are into the dietary rules is what gives us so much nachas.
One of the things I've always loved and appreciated about the OU is that you're very accessible. I can literally call up the OU's phone number. I Google the number, OU Hotline. A phone number comes up. I call you from my phone and literally somebody answers the phone. I go, hello, it's Naomi Nachman calling here. Can you please help me with this product? And there's always someone there that answers.
Absolutely. And as I said, part of our mission, our primary mission obviously is to certify food. But part of our mission is to educate people and be there to help you and everyone else who have questions about kosher. So we have a rabbi whose only job, 52 weeks a year, is just to answer questions. So as I always say, we get about 300 questions a week about Oreo cookies. They're not kosher for Pesach, you know that.
We know that.
But people are asking, are Oreo cookies dairy because they have the OUD, or are they just powder and made on dairy equipment? The answer is the dairy equipment. And we get that question, for example, 300 times a week. It may be the same person asking the question, but we don't know. And especially, and it's incredible how early in the season it begins, because before Pesach, the hotline explodes. And we put more rabbis and more staff available to answer those questions. And we have a rabbi that's even available Erev Pesach to answer questions, because what happens in the last minute.
Now we're going to talk about the most frequently asked questions that the OU gets.
Some, not all.
It's so important to check every item that you buy that it has the OUP symbol.
Absolutely. It's interesting that you make that point in front of the gefilte fish section. So I want to tell you a story. It was one year, Erev Yontif, 2 hours before Pesach, get a call from a woman. She just realized that she cooked for Yontif 20 rolls of gefilte fish, and they did not have a Pesach designation.
It's so lucky she caught it.
That's true. But she asked me, so what's the story? So I said, if the fish did not have a Pesach hashgacha, then the fish is chametz.
The fish log, the loaf.
Right, the loaf, because they use fillers, right? What do they use?
Breadcrumbs.
Breadcrumbs, challah. Remember the old challah that you had left over?
Right.
What do you do with it? So now this woman had 20 rolls of gefilte fish that she had to discard. No gefilte fish for Yontif.
Not good.
The pot was obviously chametzdik. You can't kasher the pot that late. It's too close to Yontif.
Right.
Next year she could kasher it. And it all was because when she came to the store, she wasn't careful enough. She thought, I'm in the Pesach section. It must be kosher for Pesach. You gotta check for that OUP.
Every consumer, shopper, housewife has to take the responsibility.
Men also.
Men also, homemaker. A man
Right.
can be a homemaker.
Right.
And check as you're putting it in the cart, check for the P.
Absolutely. Otherwise, you're gonna have a catastrophe.
I'm here with some fresh broccoli. Has an OUP. Talk about that process for me.
Well, as we mentioned, anytime you have a vegetable like broccoli, you need to be careful that it's not infested, doesn't have any insects, thrips, aphids. So you have this broccoli, and you'll see it says it's greenhouse grown.
What does that mean for us?
A greenhouse is a closed building.
Environment.
A closed environment. Obviously, it's going to be clear on the top, like the skylight, so it could get the sun. And you're controlling the environment that prevent any insects from growing in that environment. That doesn't mean that just because it's greenhouse grown, it's fine. After it's greenhouse grown, they check it to make sure it's kosher, that it's clean. And after they check that it's clean, then we can allow them to put the OU symbol on it. And now you could have delicious broccoli florets for Pesach all year round.
Who doesn't love fresh broccoli? You know, with the explosion of all the Pesach ingredients, we've had an explosion of Pesach cereal. 20 years ago, there was nothing. A couple years ago, we had 1 or 2 items, and now look what we've got here.
Right, so this is absolutely a testament to what kosher Pesach means. When you started with one item, and now you have so many different companies making the product with so many different flavors and varieties. They keep on experimenting. They keep on making the product taste better.
It's getting better and better.
And you have a real alternative for breakfast on Pesach, especially if you're traveling, you want to be able to have something that's easy to serve, 100% kosher, and here you have it with no big deal.
And it's Pesach. When I was first married, all those years ago, I was getting ahead making my Pesach. I was being organized and I had my lists. And I wanted to know if I could, I had kashered maybe 5-6 days before Pesach, and I wanted to start cooking. And I wanted to use olive oil. So I called up the OU because I couldn't find anything with a P on it yet. And I called up the OU and their amazing hotline, and the rabbi told me that extra virgin olive oil does not need a P for Pesach. It's kosher Pesach all year.
Right.
And I was so excited about that.
Well, if you look at our directory, or you look at the OU app, where all of our products are listed, what we at the OU do is if there's a product, everything that has an OUP, you should know was made with a mashgiach tamidi. There was a mashgiach there for the production. But there are certain foods, extra virgin olive oil, that are kosher for Pesach no matter what. So we won't put an OUP on it because the mashgiach wasn't there. But we do want to be transparent with our consumers, and therefore we tell them, that it's kosher even without the OUP.
That is such great news to hear for everyone
and again,
to
that's
hear.
Again part of our education, that we want to be completely open and tell you that it's okay even if it doesn't have an OUP. It's not all items. You have to be very, very careful looking at our directory and our app, not to make any assumptions yourself, but what's listed as always kosher for Pesach, go ahead.
What other items can we feel confident with?
Well, the other very, very commonly asked question is water. Could you buy bottled water without an OUP supervision? And if it's the plain water, the answer is yes.
Okay, that's really good to know. When people are out and about on a Chol Hamoed trip, you want to know that you can get water at Central Park Zoo.
Right, and when you're packing up your car and you don't have room for anything anyway, at least you don't have to schlep water.
Right. We're standing here in the meat section of Gourmet Glatt, which is very, very large and has a selection of prepared and seasoned and unseasoned. Why do we need to make sure that our meat is particularly kosher to Pesach?
So that's a great question. And I know that many people make the assumption that meat is kosher to Pesach, because meat is meat is meat.
Right.
And as I walked by this section, I sort of answer myself. So let's give you some examples. Salami, okay? So this salami happens to be kosher Pesach, but salami could be very not kosher Pesach because it has all sorts of
additives.
Right, and they're slicing the salami, probably wherever they slice salami here, on the same slicer. So you could have a slicer that's being used for chametz. You can't use that for Pesach.
Right.
Then of course, this is about as bad as you're going to get, for many reasons. Kishka. Right? So I don't know if you would eat kishka.
We make kishka.
Oh yeah? Good. I love kishka. I never get to eat it. So kishka, obviously, what do you make kishka with?
Flour.
Flour. So this could be chametz gomer. Where's the kishka? Together with the meat, in the meat section.
Right.
And then the last example I'll give you, which is probably the most grievous one, is breaded.
Right.
So this, I don't know if this is kosher Pesach or not, but it's
kosher
made
for Passover.
Oh, great.
Everything is labeled here in
Right.
Gourmet Glatt.
But that's why you have to look that it's kosher for Passover, because they probably, I know, they have great mashgichim here.
Fantastic.
Rabbi Adler is a superstar.
Superstar.
And he spends a lot of time and effort koshering the meat room downstairs, that everything should be prepared for Pesach. But before that, it's about as chametzig as you're going to get.
Right. Tell me, Rabbi, what makes OUP tuna unique?
So, the OU policy is that we don't have a full-time mashgiach on your regular OU tuna. We have mashgiachim visiting the facility, but we don't have a rabbi there for the entire production of the tuna. There are people who want, it's a long halach discussion, that want to have the tuna that they eat prepared with hashgacha tamidus. So now they want the OU tuna, but they also want the full-time rabbi. What's the answer? OUP. Because as I told you previously, all OUP products are made with full-time rabbinical supervision.
People make assumptions that certain things are kosher to Pesach all year, as we've spoken about. But let's talk about mayonnaise. What specifically do we need to look for and talk about mayonnaise?
Okay, so that's a great point that you're raising. You know, mayonnaise, almost everybody recognizes that mayonnaise is a product that needs supervision for Pesach. Most notably, what's the main ingredient in mayonnaise? Oil. So you have to know that you have an oil that's kosher for Pesach. But most oils are not chametz, they would be kitnius. So there are many Sfardim who eat kitnius on Pesach, and therefore they sometimes may make an assumption that a mayonnaise that's kosher, but not kosher for Pesach, can be used without a problem, because kitnius is not a problem for me. And that's a very incorrect assumption. And there are all sorts of ingredients in the mayonnaise besides the oil, and even the oil can be processed on the same equipment as chametz. And therefore, don't make assumptions that because, you know, I'm a Sephardi and the Hashgachas are Ashkenazi, and therefore they're not thinking about us, and we should therefore think for ourselves and assume that we could use the product for Pesach. You can't make those assumptions. We do certify a lot of products, as you know, OU Kitniot, and if it's not certified OU Kitniot, don't assume that it's fine unless somebody who knows something about kashrus told you so.
You know, the attention to detail that even mayonnaise has is going across the OU desk.
Absolutely.
Right? There's so many moving parts to every single product that gets an OUP. I'm sure then just besides the ingredient list on the jars or the bottles, it's the processing plant that needs to be checked.
Absolutely.
And we know that we're in good hands.
I hope so. And all the rabbis that we're sending all around the world to supervise and kasher, we're busy with Pesach. We're already busy with Pesach for next year now.
I love that. 2019, here we come. What is the hardest thing about making Pesach?
The hardest thing about making Pesach is, I guess, just the amount of food that has to be prepared so that my kids don't feel like they're lacking or starving. And the truth is there's so many snacks today that are available, and that, you know, we could just like go into Gourmet Glatt and just like buy like packaged snacks that I mean, it requires a lot of shopping and a lot of planning, but it's doable.
I think the key to that is planning and then shopping.
Absolutely.
Go with a plan.
Yeah.
Go with a plan.
Lists. It's very important.
You know, Stewie is really one of the most creative cooks. I have been the benefactor of some of his creative desserts. What creative desserts do you do for Pesach?
For Pesach is a chocolate mousse cake, and we freeze it, and it has some whipped cream on top, and then we drizzle it with some chocolate liqueur. So that's our adult dessert that everybody loves.
Okay, you had liqueur in it. What could be
Liqueur,
bad?
yes, everything with liqueur.
I'm here with Melinda Strauss in Gourmet Glatt Cedarhurst. We're talking about the daunting task of making Pesach. It's so hard to, you know, keep ahead and stay on top. You are the one of the most organized people I know. Can you share some tips with us?
Just a little organized. The biggest thing for me is writing everything down. Keeping spreadsheets of all of the ingredients that you're going to need, all the recipes you're going to need, making lists. I mean, there's so many lists available online, especially these days on Instagram, where you can just keep track of every recipe you're going to make, and don't have everything like mixed up and all around. Keep a folder. Keep everything together and keep it organized and write lists. Lists and lists and lists. That's it. That for me is what keeps me the most organized.
I think that's a really great piece of advice. I know that even keeping receipts from what I spent the year before and writing on it 2018, 2017, that way you can reflect back on what, you know, put a little bit of money aside, because Pesach can be expensive as well.
Yes. And also the lists that you keep, save them, like you said, save them for next year. Because next year you can go through, you can keep track of what did I buy that I didn't use, what did I make that I didn't like or that I really want to make again, how many people did I make it for, so I know if I should double it for next year. So don't just make your lists, but keep them for the next year also, because you're probably going to make it again.
Rabbi Elefant and I answered just some of the questions, but we know there are so many more. You can reach out to us via the website, the phone number, the app, and the Kosher Pesach Guide. We want to wish everyone a happy Kosher Pesach.